Sab, do you know what Warjalai is?
Warjalai is basically, it is also called Sagine, Warjalai, same thing. When rice is cooked with vegetables, so it's green kind of.
That sounds very delicious.
That is usually eaten with milk.
Yes. It's so interesting because in Swat, I think it's one of the few places. When I went to England, I put milk in my rice, and everyone thought that was the strangest thing in the world.
And you may also know that the people of Swat love rice. Yes. There is a famous saying in Swat, in Pashto, the Swat Sari Zadashu Puruju Mada Nashu. Like the people of Swat grow old, but they are never fed up of the rice.
Right. Well said.
Like they love rice.
Ziauddin Sab, all my family, really look up to you. And after reading your book, it's really inspiring on how you expressed yourself and what you said in your book, Let Her Fly.
By the way, thank you so much. I mean, your family is, there are two things. Number one, I love your family because your mother and that family has been the rulers of Swat, and they were the most benevolent and the people who believed in development, in peace and progress. And the development and the peace that was there during Bacha Sahib and Wali Sahib in Swat, that is incredibly exemplary. And I'm so proud. And I tell people that if there had not a Wali or a ruler like Wali Sahab in Swat, and if he had not made and built a school in the far-flung hills of Shangla, you won't have seen any Ziauddin. You won't have seen any Malala. And obviously your father is a great scholar. I always respect him, and he also loves me. I love him so much. So I have always, he has always inspired me with his work. Thank you anyway.
Really appreciate it. I'm very grateful. Thank you, Ji. You come from the Swat Valley, which is called the Switzerland of Pakistan.
Yes.
Tell us what's so good about that place.
It's a cradle of civilizations. You will find sacred places for Hindus, for Sikhs, for Lord Buddha's stupas are there. His statues are there. It had been a place of tourism for people from all over the world. And we had this amazing life, like a family life, starting a school and a lot of students enjoying teaching, classrooms, students, sports, co-curricular activities, an amazing family life with my 3 children and my wife. And meanwhile, that paradise, that heaven, is turned into a hell by some guys called Taliban. And it happened in 2007 when through an FM radio, they started Talibanization.
And you were already like women's rights was important to you, and you were
of course
supporting education, women's education. So in that context, the Taliban came.
I completed my education and it was time to pay back to the community and to do something for your family as well, but for the community, for the people. And while we were wanting more girls' education, more rights for women, we wanted stronger democracy in our country, more forests. And while you are working for all those beautiful causes, and you see some people who say, no, now you will see a different time. Now your daughter won't be able to go to school. Your wife and sisters won't be able to go to the marketplace, and you won't be able to listen to the music. And we will just destroy the Buddha statues. Then, I mean, that was like the teacher Ziauddin, who was contributing to education as a teacher, as an education campaigner. We had to turn into the fighters for the right of it. Okay.
How long did this take? Like, was this overnight? The Taliban came, everything changed very quickly?
Oh, no, they were very strategic, and they planned in a way that in the beginning, they attracted people, women and men towards themselves through their FM radio. Mullah Fazlullah used to give speeches, sermons in morning, in the evening, on Fridays. And he made a very huge center beside the river of Swat. And in the beginning, he was not violent. In the beginning, he tried to change people's minds, attract them in the name of Islam, like, oh, we want a better system. We want a just system, and we want like an Islamic society. And then he started speaking against girls' education from his FM radio. He was so influential in his speeches, though it was for a bad purpose. But he influenced the women and men, and some of the girls left school voluntarily. Like at night time, he used to tell the names of the girls who left the school. For example, Kalsoom, Aisha, Khadija left school in blah blah in so and so village, and I congratulate them. So there was a lot of volunteer dropout from school.
Wow.
Gradually, with passage of time, he became more and more violent and violent.
This is the leader of the Taliban who is very effective in how he's talking to people, and he's using logic and reason, which is interesting, Ziauddin sir, because in history, I feel like the most effective forms of discrimination are always when people have a good, like they try to spin a good reason, or they try to make it logical, and they try to present it in a way that this is for the benefit of society. You know, this is for the benefit of everyone.
Also, our people are very religious people. So, religion is something that you can always sell it in those societies. So he used he misused the name of Islam, and many people gave him money, even women gave him jewelry to fund him, and the same money was used then on the destruction of the people. They used it they bombed many schools, 400 schools, and they did a lot of suicide attacks in the Swat Valley. Hundreds of people were killed in suicide attacks and target killing. So this is how Taliban operated.
So to put it in context, you have Swat, the Taliban have come in. In the meantime, your daughter Malala is born, and she's talking about women's rights. And then, so the Taliban see her as the voice for women's rights, and they see her as a threat. Is that right? Am I phrasing it correctly?
Yes, I will add to it. Like Malala was born on 12th of July 1997, and Taliban started their Talibanization or their bad activities and their propaganda in 2007. At that time, Malala was 11 or 12 years old. And they did all these things gradually. And then a stage came in 2009, January 2009, 14th of January, 15th of January 2009, that they said that this is the deadline and no girl, young or old, should be allowed to go to school. If she goes, then the manager of the school or the parents will be responsible. So that was class dismissed. That was the end of education at that time in the Swat Valley. Then for 3 months, we became IDPs, internally displaced people in Swat. And we had to move to the districts, to like down district like Charsadda, Sawabi, Mardan, Peshawar, Abbottabad. And during those 3 months, the military of Pakistan, they did a targeted operation, and Taliban were expelled from the Swat Valley, and then we went back to Swat, and we restarted our lives. So it was 2009, but in 2011, 12, 2 years after, the target killing was still there. And like in those series of target killings, Malala was one of the target who was targeted by the Taliban gunmen while she was coming back from school. So she was 15 years old at that. So she started speaking at the age of 12 or 11, and like 11, 12, 13, 14. So it was like a 4-5 year struggle for the right of education. When Taliban felt that this young girl with a voice is more powerful than Taliban's guns and their suicide attacks, that's why they thought that it is important to silence her.
From all the people around you, you really gave them a chance. Like your wife, your kids, your parents, everyone, you saw the best in them. You know, like anything they brought to the table, you saw the best. And then that changed them in turn. So let's just go to your childhood. Where does that come from?
I personally also went through some discrimination. And that discrimination, which I faced personally, they created a kind of empathy inside me, rather than revengefulness, rather than a bitterness, or if somebody, when I talk, I stutter, I stammer, and like you can imagine, a little child who has not much confidence in himself. And if he is a stutterer, it's very difficult for him. Inside the family, outside of the family, when he is in school, when he talks to the class fellows, when my teacher asks me stand and read a passage. So because of stuttering, I was bullied by some of my classmates and some of the boys in the community, and that was very painful. I wish that I did not stutter. I wish that I were not in that condition because of something that was not in my control.
Do you feel that in school, when you faced bullying or discrimination, no one stood up for you? So you said, you know, where is that hero who's going to stand up for you? So you became that hero when you saw the same injustice happening to other people. Do you feel like that a little bit?
Very interesting. I mean, this is how it works, basically. I was invited to USA by American Stuttering Association, and they gave me a chance to speak as well. So I told there 3 things. That when you face this problem of stuttering and you want to come out of it, so usually 3 people can help you. Number 1 is you yourself. Number 2 are your parents. And number 3 are your teachers. Or other mentors in community, your father's friend and somebody, could be your uncle, could be your aunt. So in my case, I think the first person who wanted to overcome that deficiency, you can say, or overcome that hurdle in my life, and to, in spite of stuttering, to become a debater and a speaker, it was me, myself. One morning, I saw a boy who was giving a speech in the morning assembly. And I wished that, if this boy can deliver a speech in morning assembly, why I can't? So a few weeks after, there was a declamation contest in the school. And I asked my father, can you write a speech for me? I was in grade 7 or 6, I think. And my father was kind of shocked in a way that he was not very sure that his son, who is stuttering a lot, and especially in front of my father, I used to stutter more because of the nervousness in front of my father. So he was not very sure, but I insisted. And he wrote a speech for me. On the speech day, I went to the podium. My eyes were open, but I couldn't see anyone, like you can understand. And when I finished my speech, I went back to the hall and sat. So a teacher who was our maths teacher, and that teacher came and he whispered in my ear and he told me in Pashto, "We urdu wakaro." It means that you spread the fire. Like you spoke very well.
Wow.
So the words of that teacher I still carry with me, and they give me a power. Those powerful words.
Wow.
I'm very grateful to my father, especially, who turned my weakness into a strength, who turned my weakness into a power. And my father, inspired me so much because he himself was a great speaker. And I wanted to be like him. Later in life, whenever, like one day I remember I was doing my master in English, and the teacher gave us an assignment. And next day, he asked me to read it. And some days, for stutterers, some days are good, some days are bad. Sometimes we stutter too much, sometimes we are very fluent. So that was not a good day for me. And I started reading and stuttering. And the teacher told me that why not you pass on your assignment to your friend and he read it for you. Oh my God. And I became very angry. I said, "Sir, we call teachers sir in Pakistan." I said, "Sir, this can't happen. This stammering is part and parcel of my personality. And you have to listen to me. I will read it." And I finished it.
Wow, amazing, Ziauddin. Amazing. And I feel, like you said, you turn it to an advantage. Like that's physically, you're seeing that like growing up, you saw that your voice is important, right? But
Exactly.
there was a challenge. So then in society, you saw when people didn't have that voice, you could feel exactly how that they were feeling.
Fantastic. And you are very right, believe me, Babar. I'm very impressed with what you said now. Basically, I wanted to speak because I had a lot of things to say. Like as a boy, when I was growing up, what I was seeing in the community, in the society, I wanted to change them. And when you want to change things, first you talk about them.
Exactly.
And if you want to talk about something and you are unable to talk about it because of stammering, that is a big hurdle then. Right. So to remove that hurdle was very much important. Right. And that's why I tell people that I do stutter, but I do speak.
Nice. Very much. Fantastic. This is an inspiring thing to
stutter, but I do speak.
And you said, like in terms of when someone is going through something difficult, discrimination or, some injustice, you said the three people who are important. One is oneself, one is one's parents, and one is one's teachers. So that's actually a very interesting point, because sometimes, a person feels, oh, where is the support? Who is coming to save me?
What is important in the story of Malala Yousafzai? The important thing in her story is that when Taliban banned girls' education completely, and when they bombed more than 400 schools in Swat Valley, this young girl with a book and with a voice, she stood. So we all were speaking for education, and I was a teacher. My voice was very important. But basically, her right was violated. She was one of the 50,000 girls who were unable to go to school because of Taliban's ban. And her voice spread like a crescendo because it was her right, and that was violated. So I tell people that whenever you see any discrimination because of any reason, because of faith, color, gender, or because of your poverty, whatever, but whenever you see any discrimination against yourself, you should be the first person to speak up. Because your voice is the most powerful voice.